Since May 2004, when Femlink Pacific began operating Fiji and the Pacific's first women-led community radio station, we have been documenting and sharing the stories of women from beyond our suitcase radio's 10-kilometer transmission radius. This documentary will highlight our work during January 2014 when we traveled around the country to connect with the women of our 1325 community radio network to hear from its women. Starting with a trip across the Bly Waters to Vanua-Levu, our team also circled Viti-Levu, traveling to rural centers like Rakiraki, Tavua, Mba, Nandi and Nosori to interview 78 rural women leaders. These leaders shared their personal stories and the stories of their communities. Altogether, they spoke for close to 8,000 women like themselves. The stories, experiences and opinions they shared affirm that their issues, their peace and security should be the bedrock of all development. The following is a documentary compiling the stories these women shared during the production of community radio programs.
While the women know what and why they want things to change, many still keep them out of spaces they have every right to access.
See, for most of the things that we women, we are the backbone of the family. In most of the things that are needed in the family, we are the women, we are the ones that knows them all. And not until our voices are being heard to the community so that we can raise up whatever grievances we have, it won't be known. And especially in our roads, we have children that walk up and down to the schools. The stretch alongside the stretch that we have, it's quite a stretch. And the road is so good that the vehicles, the drivers run up and down because there is no limitation in their, in their speed limits. And we don't have footpaths. Either we either jump into the drain or walk on where the vehicles run. And since the grass where the drains are, they're overgrown, it's really risky because we cannot walk on the side of the road because they are all overgrown with grass. So we would know where we're stepping on the grass or onto the drain. In a community like, if we women are being given chance to talk, see, the sending of the children to school, it's the mothers who do. And by then, either the fathers had gone to work or they've gone to the bush to get whatever. And if the women are there, we know the everyday living of our family. And we are being allowed to talk to talk, we can voice out our grievances. And I would like to ask the government if they can step in and assist in the cleaning up of our village.
Mostly women's voices are not heard. So most of the men, they make their own decision. So it's been 2-3 years now, all women are trying to come up with the new ideas and trying to stand for their voices to be heard.
Because we have so many educated ladies who are now got married to the men in Nakelo, which we don't still have time to talk. I can remember in one of the meetings that we had, one of the ladies spoke up and she was being said, "Oh, you such a mouth because you are just being attached." See, those kind of things that we feel that we ladies are belittled. And if the government can introduce a policy to say, those kind of meetings, if the ladies can be invited to be part of and be allowed to voice out whatever they think. And the contribution from the ladies is quite close if we have been given the chance to. The sooner the better, and the quicker too that we can be invited to be part of. And as I've mentioned that if only the outside body can intervene, especially in government bodies can intervene to say, to put a policy, next meeting to invite the ladies and be allowed to talk, not just to invite, but be allowed to be part of the talk. That should be just fine.
For some women, the change need not only come from outside, but from women themselves.
This change is very important for me in my community as a woman. It's the time for women to stand up, and we need this change because we are not recognized in our own community where we come from. So we need a change for all of us to put our hands together and we go forward for the woman to be recognized in all our community.
We should change our attitude to bring in the change. And we, as women, we really need to empower each other so that we can go forward.
I think it is urgent for us to change, because this is the time to change. The government has given us the time for us to vote, and this is the time for us to vote for a good leader and make a change in our country.
For Neela of Tavua, the wrong leadership means the wrong decisions are made. She has seen her community become included as part of the town, but without the involvement of the people themselves. Her community now is expected to pay rates, remove the livestock that they depend on from their homes, and yet is still to see any development to take place.
I think when the people came down to ask for the rates, they told us that we'll be having tahsil roads, we'll be having street lights, and garbage will be collected, etc. But these things are not being done, and I think that's and they should have provided us with footpaths, etc. That's not being done. There's no children's park, etc. I think whatever they had promised, they haven't done that. But they are telling us that we'll have to continue paying the rates for the next 3 years, and then after these 3 years, then they will start providing us with some services. We don't know which services will be provided after that. What I would like to see is that because they are asking us to pay our rates and we have started paying our rates, so they should start providing us with the services which they have promised. And the other thing is, like, most of the people in my village are farmers, and they have been asking these people not to keep livestock like bullocks, cows, goats, and they do not allow them to raise chicken and ducks. They are telling us that because it has been converted into included into the town area boundary, so we are not supposed to keep all those things at home. So it's their livelihood. Like, if they don't have cows, if they don't have ducks and chickens, these things are very expensive in the supermarket. People are not able to buy those things. They are not able to afford that. So if they are telling us not to keep those things, so they should provide something like a certain place where they can keep these livestock like cows, bullocks, etc. But for these chickens and ducks, I don't know why they are stopping us. And if they think we shouldn't keep those things, then they should ask these farmers. They shouldn't have included these farmers in that town boundary. And whatever they've promised, they should provide us with that.
Without women recognized by leadership, no matter their ability to lead or to raise issues, many still turn a blind eye to their cries for help.
Actually, I would say no. I wouldn't say that we are guaranteed for that security. Reason is, we've been tapping doors since then. I've been married there for 8 years. Nothing has been assisted. Like, we've been voicing up our grievances. Nothing has been. We've not been assisted with our grievances. And how can we be? We say security. We are well secured. It's been guaranteed because. Nothing comes into that instant assistance. It has been pending for couple of years, but nothing has been done so far. The major ones to me is FEA. That is the main issue now, that we look at education. People are advanced in education, like they use computers, laptops and all those things for emails or researches and all those things. And our children lack that opportunity. Why? Because we don't have electricity. Electricity, I think, is one of the major things, issues in our life at this trend of time, that for educating our children. And how about if my child or my daughter goes to a tertiary and she has no knowledge about computer and all those things? Why? Because it started from the community and the family. There's no electricity. And how can my children be upgraded in that level, since there's no FEA? Because all these things, if you want education to be the major thing in your family, you need FEA assistance. You need FEA even for health. You need FEA for whatever criteria will come up. You need FEA. this is a trend of time. It's advancing, so we need FEA at this time. So I'm vocal about it, and I'm asking people that are concerned, please assist us.
Just a slightly changed. Last year, there were 3 women. The one woman from our village, she was been chosen from the Ministry of Women. She went to India for solar. So now there is a slightly changes in the villages because of solar. We've got a solar in the village, and solar is just for light and also for charging the mobiles. That's all. But for cooking and everything, no, we don't have.
We've been highlighted about solar. There were so many issues coming up that will be accommodated with refrigerator and so forth. But once it's been brought in the village, we were just being accommodated for charging our mobiles and just lights. So we are still crying for that, for FEA. Why? Because we need to iron our clothes, we need to keep our food longer if there's more food in the house. So we can keep it as about 2 weeks or 3 weeks time. We won't be running around, or we won't be cooking the whole lump of food in one time. So we can keep it for other meals. So that's why we're asking for that. Not only for that, ironing our clothes and cooking in the morning. And if we have a long rainy season, when we went to collect our firewood, the thing is wet. How can we cook our food at an instant to send our children to school? That is the main cry for us. Please, we just don't want to be promised for things. We want things to be done, to be assisted in immediate action.
Why is electricity such a concern? For some, living in the dark is a reality, and a harsh one at that.
Yes, it really affects every day to us. As a daughter-in-law, as a mother, and as a wife, I have to wake up early in the morning at 4 o'clock when it's still dark. So, living in a rural community, we have a fireplace to do our cooking. So it's hard for me to cook fast because we don't have a proper light. So I usually use my torch to prepare breakfast for my husband and for my son who goes to work and my son who goes to school. So I really find difficulty in doing that. And even most of the time when my son, we has to do the ironing for my son, most of the time my son he used to burn his clothes because using that benzene iron, it really affects every day. So we have to buy another pair of uniform for him. And for my husband, especially when it's dark, because they have to face the festival, which is 6:15. So they have to prepare or to fresh themselves. It's really hard using the hurricane lamp and to get ready in the morning to catch the bus. It really affects whole of our family, and it really affects the community as well as.
Even as a young woman, Jyotisma knows what she wants for herself and others like her, and is frustrated by the realities she and others must endure.
I'm living in a rural area, so I have to wake up early to catch bus in order to go to school. But in the other hand, the bus usually breaks down. So what is the use for waking up so early, and I usually get late to school and misses my class? Things which needs to be changed is the condition of bus. The bus should be maintained well, because not only me, but there are so many students who are schooling, and due to this problem they miss most of their lessons, which affects their studies, as they get lower marks and not enough attention from teachers compared to those students who attend their all classes.
So where to from here? How do we make Fiji a better place so that Jyotisma's children don't have to accept a reality that she has to grow up in? Anjani and Suman believe that the recognition of women's leadership role in her community is a step in the right direction.
Especially our advisory counselor. The advisory counselor should be a woman, so that she can be able to know how the women will be secured in the road that get flooded in the Emily Road. We have to wait for hours. Sometimes it gets night and we are not secured there.
There should be more women participating in leadership. Example, advisory council, to talk about the issue to the government and discussion making. It's urgent because our family life and we women do have to do extra work in our farm in order to support our family and send our children to school.
Family Pacific is part of a global campaign calling for a strong emphasis on human security to ensure that the needs and capacities of people and communities are taken into account. As women have continued to emphasize during our 10-year journey with community radio, development processes and priorities must be defined from the community level up, particularly to prevent conflict over resources. Women and communities rely on governments, as member states of the United Nations, to recognize that economic policies must be accountable to women's specific needs and acknowledge the growing burden of poverty on women, including the elderly. UN member states must also ensure conventions like CEDAW is a catalyst for change that has already contributed to the passing of legislation in the area of family law, domestic violence, and employment relations. It is essential to note that CEDAW must also be considered in parallel with other human rights conventions, such as the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, in order to ensure that the intersectional discrimination faced by women with disabilities is addressed. In the coming years, as a feminist community media network, Family Pacific hopes that as we continue to document the lives, realities, and stories of women and their communities through our Suitcase Radio network and other media initiatives, we will be able to communicate the transformation that women deserve, that human security is the bedrock of all development.